Good evening, viewers. This is the Colonel again and British Imperial YouTube Broadcasting. This evening we've got something rather different. A Decca record called I'll Give You Talk Like That. It's a bit difficult to describe, really, so I shall play it and then see what you think. I don't think you're going to be very impressed. Here we go.
You saucy, 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 saucy. Oh dear, 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 dear.
Believe it or not, that is the voice not of a human being, but of a bird. In fact, a talking starling. Now what do you think of this?
Pussycat, where have you been? I've been up the ladder to look at the queen, and every time I come in the house, the monkey's on the table. Take a stick and knock him off, pop goes the weasel.
That is the voice of a budgerigar, a small talking parakeet bred in captivity and originally from the family of Australian parakeets. His name is Beauty Metcalf, and he lives in Bradford. And when he was broadcast some time ago, he created so much interest that hundreds of letters were written about him.
I bet they were.
And no wonder. Have you ever heard a parakeet which could recite nursery rhymes like this?
Umpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses for king's pay could put Umpty Dumpty 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 together again. Little Miss Muffet says that Muffet eating her curds. There came a big spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away.
Budgerigars are very popular as lovebirds sold in pairs. But when they are kept together, they usually only talk their own language. I believe it's only the cockbirds which talk our language, and they only learn it when they are kept separately from other birds at an early age. Most of the birds we visited when we were making this record were very nervous of strangers. But I remember one which, after my second visit to his home, startled me by flying across quite suddenly onto the back of my chair and then saying quite clearly, "Parlez-vous français?" and then, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch?" And there was one bird which was very tame. When his cage was opened, he flew out onto his owner's head, then onto her hand, then onto the table about 4 inches from the microphone, and then he suddenly started off like this.
It's your puppy's cage. Always a rascal. Always a penguin. Where's your crust? Where's your crust? Yeah, dear Helpy. Come on, save me, Helpy. Did you want to save me? There's a good boy. There you come and see. Oh, he's a nice boy. He's a...
Right, here we go for the next side. Did you hear a bus going past when they were making another recording? I thought I did. Certainly wasn't going past here. Here we go.
You wouldn't think there were many birds which could talk more clearly than these budgerigars, but there are. I remember a story of a man who was walking along a road in India when he was suddenly startled by hearing a perfectly clear voice addressing him from somewhere just above his head. As there was absolutely nothing in sight except for a very small starling sitting on the branch of a tree, he came to the conclusion that he must be bewitched, and he ran away. Well, I didn't believe that story at the time, but I do now, because recently we've recorded 2 starlings, or Indian miners as they're called, which speak just as clearly as human beings. You heard one of them at the beginning of the first side of this record. And in addition to talking, this particular starling can imitate the sound of a man blowing his nose. Listen. And here's the same bird imitating the sound of a cat meowing. Really is rather remarkable how clearly these birds can imitate other pets in the same house, and how clearly they can imitate their owners' voices. The owner of this bird gives you an opportunity now of comparing his voice with that of the bird. Listen.
Just to give you an idea how clearly this bird imitates my voice, please listen now. You saucy, 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 saucy.
That was the owner, now the bird.
You saucy, 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 saucy.
That bird lives in Wanstead. Here's a starling that lives in Highgate. And here again you can compare the voice of the bird with the voice of the owner. First, the owner.
No!
That was the owner, now the bird. Really is almost impossible to tell the difference between the owner and the bird. And here are one or two other phrases which the bird has picked up.
Naughty boy. Come here now. I'll keep you talking like that.
In the house where this bird lives, there's a dog called Lai Su. And this starling has learnt to imitate the exact intonation which its owner uses when calling the dog. Listen. It would be rather amusing if these birds would talk when they're together. Then perhaps we should be able to arrange a sort of bird symposium, which might, I suppose, sound something like this.
Naughty boy. I'll keep you talk like that, isn't it, Sally?
Well, that sounds like the Gramophone Forum to me. Anyway, if you've got a cat, then I suggest it's not in India. Anyway, that's the end of this broadcast. I'm going for a lie down. Good evening, viewers.